Hey guys, um, we're live. It's Monday, start of a brand new week. I hope it's off to a good start for you guys. Sorry, I'm making some adjustments here. Um, and it is the 22nd of January, 2024. I'm getting the year right. Um, Sorry, slightly distracted, but I'm on topic as I'm looking at stuff that I'm hoping to talk about if I can stay on subject, which is never a guarantee as things go. Um, I mentioned earlier, after my burpees, um, yoga nidra. And one of the benefits, if I can call it a benefit, of hurting my back, I'm still not 100% comfortable calling it an injury, although it very well might have been an injury, except for the fact I think of injury as preventing me from doing the stuff that I want to do completely. And this didn't do that. It inhibited me quite a deal, quite a big deal. Um, and slowed me down on some things, but it didn't really affect my burpees too much. Only if I added in um, a great deal of squats. Only if I added in like squat chasers after 2 pumps, um, where I did too many. If I throw in, a set of 10 or something like that, even a set of 25, I seem to do okay as long as I don't do it too often. It's odd to me that the squats were affecting my back because they never have before. As a matter of fact, they would always feel a little better after doing squats. But hey, it's a whole new ball game when you're in your late 50s. You just don't know what's going to affect you. As a matter of fact, the thing that very first aggravated my back was one of the things that always made it feel better in the past, and that was some yoga poses. That was triangle pose and locust, and even headstands on the headstand bench, which really takes a lot of the tension off the back. But for whatever reason, it caused a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a spinal shift, so it seems. And then when I was trying to get in my car, I explained the story before, 2 cars parked next to mine, too close together. And I easily could have gotten I could have gotten both to move. One was a neighbor, one was my brother. But I was unable to get into my car. Um, and I was warned by Mocha, don't try. It would be stupid to try, which of course I took as a challenge. Um, Call me stupid. I'll show you exactly how stupid I actually am, which I then proceeded to do. Um, but first I had to brag that it was going to be my yogic powers of deactivating my force and easing, sliding in one joint at a time, snake-like, which sounded good in theory until I attempted it. And something violently shifted in my back. And of course, I had to hide it when it first happened. Show no pain is the first lesson you are taught as a man. Before anything else, show no pain. Um, so that was the beginning. And it's been 2 months or so. And it is only now in the past maybe week that it is starting to feel like I'm on the healing path. But I had to leave off a lot of my favorite yoga poses. Fortunately, I could still do many more because there's always a path in yoga. As well, fortunately, it didn't affect my burpees itself, nor my running, nor my walking. Um, our friend Osiris is here. Good morning, Eric. Wow, your sub count just blew up. It did. Um, Although it was a slow rise to about 400, and then around 400 it like jumped to 6, and then from 6 to 9, and then from 9 all the way up. I think yesterday was 13 something. Duncan mentioned that, and I told Duncan that I thought it was, the story of the 100th monkey. I think it was Margaret Mead, um, who originally told this. It might have been her husband or her father. Um, could have been someone totally different. That they were studying islands in the, I believe it was in the Sea of Japan, and what they noticed, there was a um, monkeys on these islands that would eat a certain type of, I believe it was a sweet potato, and they would just eat it, pick it off the ground and eat it. And then there was a really bad storm, and uh, the sweet potatoes were covered in sand and dirt, and they started washing it off. And when it reached a certain critical mass, monkeys on another island that were unaffected by the storm began to wash their potatoes as well, for no other reason other than that critical mass. Uh, the morphogenic field, I believe, uh, Rupert Sheldrake, biologist, calls it. So my only guess is, and I talked about this before, you hit a number and things just magnify. Now it could be um, the the way things work in the computer world. Um, I don't know, but I prefer to think of it as the morphogenic field and the 100th monkey taking effect, which would make me, I guess, the 99th monkey, which makes perfect sense. Um, that was a long-winded explanation. Our friend Destiny, Forever Walks, PhD, is here. Uh, hello and blessings to you, Eric. Thank you. I'm doing well. Um, and Osiris says, congrats. Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew that you would know the 100th monkey, but I figured that I'd put it out there for anyone who might watch this later and wonder, what the heck is this guy talking about, the 100th monkey? What does monkeys have to do with anything? Because everyone knows the answer isn't monkeys. The answer is turtles all the way down. Sorry, it says the YouTube algorithms. Yeah, that's what I figured, that you hit that critical number, whatever it might be, and maybe it's different for other people. Maybe it has to do with views, and it takes off. So we'll see where it goes from there. We'll see if I crack under the pressure of having more people watch me, that it's gone from the single digits into the dozens. Destiny says, yes, Eric, your channel is growing big time. Congrats. Thank you. You know, just showing up on James's broadcast. I'm just saying hi to him. I'm just chatting, putting stuff out there, has made a difference. So Osiris, Destiny shared a link from a YouTuber who sort of farms out your channel, and that's made a difference. I don't know how much, but I think when you're aiming to hit those algorithms, it only takes a certain amount. So if I'm getting 5 or 6 additional subscribers from James, and then the algorithms pick that up, and then more people see it, and then more people subscribe, I don't know how it works. I still prefer the morphogenic field, which explains a lot. So, yeah, I was explaining about my back and how I hurt it stupidly. Although I should say, I actually hurt it in 1990 deadlifting, and at the time I was deadlifting over 400 and some pounds, and yet I hurt my back warming up, second or third warm-up set, 225, for whatever reason. Maybe I was not recovered from a previous workout, and I hurt my back, and it took me a year to recover from it. I had to do a year's worth of training, seated curls, seated overhead press. I could still bench, but I couldn't have an arch in my back, so my bench went down. Lots of incline bench, lots of bodybuilding movements that I could do without any pressure on the back, leg extensions, leg curl, leg press. But I eventually recovered. But every so often, my back would cause an issue, and I'd have to sort of reset it, yoga and other stuff. Um, let's see. Destiny says James Skype is one of the best for getting help in growing your channel. He certainly has been a great help. That's why I recommended him to you, Eric, to connect with him. And I appreciate that a great deal. It's just effortless, you know. It's fun to go and watch him and say hi, and then the magic happens. Um, so what I was sort of leading up to, that sometimes, I would say almost all the time, if you're able to look, a setback or an injury can be a door to something else that helps you, maybe in an entirely different way, maybe in a healing way, maybe in a way that's related. Um, but there's always something. So I had to lay aside some of my favorite yoga poses, which left me time in my yoga routine to dive deep into yoga nidra, which is the yogic sleep or the psychic sleep, which has gained popularity over the last 50 years, although it's an ancient practice, first mentioned in the Upanishads, as well as the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. And it is that, I forget what it's called, hypnagogic sleep, being between actual non-aware sleep and wakefulness. We've all had that experience when we're falling asleep, but we're not there yet, and we're still conscious and aware. It's a very, very healing state, very relaxing state. And when you can consciously be guided there, um, a whole lot happens. A whole lot of deep relaxation. They say that an hour of yoga nidra is equivalent to 4 hours of actual sleep. Um, I don't know if that's true or not, although it is actually written up through some very high studies. John Hopkins, Harvard Medical School, all kinds of very prestigious places have studied yoga nidra. That deep, deep relaxation is unbeatable. You get to the delta level brain waves, um, and yet you're entirely aware at the same time. And you begin the practice with entering a sankalpa, which is another word, a Sanskrit word for intent. So if you have an intent to heal, an intent for prosperity, an intent to grow YouTube subscribers, an intent for enlightenment, awakening, serving the world, serving others, healing someone else, aiding someone else in their healing journey, whatever it is. And of course, the highest ideal, the better. Um, the highest aspiration, the better. You enter it right before. You begin by withdrawing the senses. This is pratahari, I believe. Never quote me on my Sanskrit. Never quote me on my English. But Sanskrit is slightly worse than my English. So that's a warning for everyone. The pratyahara is the fifth limb of Patanjali's Ashtanga yoga, the eight branches of yoga. And it sort of connects the outer practices of pranayama, asanas, and the niyamas and the yamas, the ethical parts of yoga, as well as the energy and the physical. And then you have the withdrawing of the senses, turning inwards as you prepare to meditate. This was always a stage I slightly skipped forever because I always felt like I didn't purposely skip it, but I felt like I was withdrawing the senses as I began to meditate, which is a whole process of meditating, turning the attention inwards. Um, and I do my breath work before I meditate. um, and I just start to shut down. I follow the breath, and then I enter with my mantra. So I always felt that it was covered within my meditation practice. But when you do it specifically in and of itself, especially through the practice of yoga nidra, some really deep magic begins to happen, like healing, slowing down the metabolism so that the whole body can begin to get that deep, deep rest. It releases positive hormones through the system. So if you are suffering any type of hormonal balance, uh, and that could be as simple as you get older, men naturally decline in testosterone, women decline in estrogen. Some women actually gain too much estrogen. Um, when you slow the metabolism down in this healing state of yoga nidra, your um, hormonal shift back to a balance between the two. So if you need an increase in testosterone, if you need a decrease, everything comes into balance. Um, so let's key up some facts here. Um, this is from WebMD, which is a um, reputable, respectable, reputable um, source of information. Yoga Nidra is actually, we can call it a guided meditation. Um, and you don't need, uh, if you were to ask me, even just a few months ago, my opinion of guided meditation, I'd say a maybe necessary benefit for some beginners. However, it is better to learn to rely upon your own consciousness to enter the meditative state. But Yoga Nidra is a form of meditation and it's different. And it's very helpful to have a guide because what you're doing is a mindful journey, beginning with the breath as you return, as you withdraw the senses from the outer world into the inner. And then you'll have a voice guide you through rotating through the body, usually beginning with your right thumb. And then you're not concentrating. You're not even visualizing so much. You're just placing your awareness on what that person mentioned. So he'll begin with the right thumb, first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger, um, and then palm, and then elbow, and then shoulder, and then armpit. And you work your way down to the toe, and then you go on the other side of the body, and then you do the front of the body and the back of the body. And then you might do some contrast. Um, experience the feeling of cold or the feeling of heat, um, the feeling of boredom, sleepiness, and then the opposite. So it's guiding your mind through this process of a deep relaxation. And then you have visualization, and they will give you images to visualize. And then you let go. And again, it's not concentration. And it's only for an instant. You visualize and it's let go, and you go on to the next. So you could do that script yourself, but it takes a lot of practice and it's complicated. Or you can just have someone guide you through the entire process. And a teacher is helpful, or they have classes for it. You can find a great playlist on YouTube, and I think I'm going to do a public playlist of the ones that are my most favorite. You can do it up for an hour, and again, an hour is the equivalent of 4 hours of deep sleep. My preference, I do it right after my asana practice. So I like doing it for 20 minutes to half an hour, sometimes 40, occasionally for an hour if I feel like I might have had a bad night's sleep. But 30 minutes seems to be the sweet spot. 20 to 30 minutes seems to be the sweet spot. And you get a very profound effect from it, very healing. You're lying down in Shavasana, which is the corpse pose. Your palms are open in that receiving. You can put a blanket over you. I lay on my yoga mat, and if I use a blanket, it's a very light blanket. Let's see. Let's get to some of the hardcore facts here. Um, Destiny says that is a great idea. And Eric, looking forward to that. I'm. It's almost too invaluable not to share as much as possible with people. Um, I generally don't like putting out the intent that I wish to um, manifest within my own life, but I will say one of it is healing my back, obviously. And um, if anything, in that deep sense of relaxation, um, I'm planting the seed to remind me not to do anything to further damage my back, which is pretty important because as soon as I ever start feeling better from something, I automatically say, well, let's go back to doing the things that used to hurt. It makes no sense. However, I have never claimed to make any sense whatsoever, especially when it comes to the physical, when it comes to doing the stuff that I love to do. I'm always anxious to get back in, and you can get away with it. I got away with it for 50 plus years. Um, but now, I'm 58. I don't get away with the stuff that I used to, or maybe I still do, but I pay a steeper price for it. Um, so any healing modality is extremely important to me. And if it can help an old broken down guy, imagine what it's going to do to you young people out there. Um, Imagine what it's going to do to the Osirises and the Destiny Forever Walks PhDs, um, and those even more youthful than you guys. Sort of only half joking about me being broken down. Um, I really do feel at my age that I can do almost everything that I used to do before. It takes me, my recovery is still really good, um, but I would say it does take me a little bit longer to recover from some of the harder stuff that I do. Um, but again, the Yoga Nidra is just an awesome tool to have at your disposal. And if you can do it every day, you're gaining the benefit of that extra rest. You're getting in meditation. You're getting in a rejuvenative effect. You're getting that deep healing. You're getting in the spiritual aspect. Um, it takes you from the sympathetic nervous state that slowly accumulates through the course of a day. The little stressors. Studies have shown that stress doesn't affect us in those big things the way we think about it. That it's never that um, getting fired or um, loss or something like that or a car accident. They have an effect on you, but it's those micro stressors, the daily stressors that accumulate over time that we don't even notice. It's like with football players and the constant bumping of the head, even in a helmet. It's never that big concussion. It's those little micro traumas that happens over time that has a big effect. It's the little micro stress that happens every single day. Traffic incidents, slow traffic, long lines, people yelling, violence on TV, um, political season, big one for me. Um, Arguments with a spouse, argument with our kids. The little, in Taoism, they'd call it the 10,000 things of life. Um, and back then, it was only 10,000 things. Imagine now, you know, thousands of years later, technology jumping, society being closer. Um, it is 100,000 little things eating away at us. So, um, Yoga Nidra takes us from that um, sympathetic nervous state and reintroduces us to the parasympathetic nervous state, and it stays with us for a longer period of time. So, hey, if you can take a 20-minute break sometime in the day and lay down and get a session of Yoga Nidra in, your day will be golden. Everything will just flow from that experience. Um, Destiny says there's still a lot of youth and energy in York. It's all an illusion. Um, uh, it's not over till the fat lady sings. You know what I'm saying? Believe it. I do believe it. And, I have big plans for my 60s. I hope to run another 100 in my 60s. I hope to do another in my 70s. I hope to do 100 in my 80s. I have a friend who has run 100 in every decade. He is now 74. He's done one in his 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and now 70s. And he's still going strong. And he's literally been through hell and back physically. Had a stroke because of an accident. He had a tree branch. He was doing tree work, and a tree branch fell on the back of his neck, and fractured his skull. And during recovery, he had a stroke from the treatment. One thing after another, and he just keeps coming back. Let's see. Destiny says that she's doing great in reply to Osiris. She says she's still having trouble getting his channel to come up. It's usually off and on. Your channel name is so popular. Huh. You definitely don't want to skip Osiris and the work that he's doing from his garage gym. I think it's a garage, right? Or is it a basement? To his outside garden, which is my favorite place to watch him do burpees, to him and the crew in the parking lot. Probably the most interesting places of any channel on where to train, in my opinion, of those three places that I see him. I think definitely my favorite, although Burpee Matty comes in up there pretty high too, because he's got right outside, and he's got and Tony as well, and of course Hybrid Jim and his tree, which has quickly become one of my favorite trees. Sarah says yes, yep, it's a garage. And Destiny says, see, it's never over. You will do just that, Eric. Thank you. And I think it helps to never get out of shape. It's always easier, which is why I ran an ultra every month for 10 years, because I was always in shape to do a race. Our friend, it is what it is, Lewis is here. Good morning, YouTube family. Yeah, Osiris is the man. I hope to look and have Osiris's body type when I'm his age, 100%. Definitely doable. If I'm not mistaken, I think Osiris was more of an endurance athlete a little while ago, and then shifted into the body weight and then the lifting. Osiris says, thank you, Eric. You're welcome. And Derek says, thanks, Lewis. You are on track to be way ahead of me, brother. Lewis is definitely on track. He's definitely, I would say, be amazing to see when he gets to my age. I don't think I'll be around when he gets to be my age. Let's see. I don't think Lewis is yet 40. So I got 18, almost 19 years in him. So when he's my age, yeah, I'll still be around. I'll be getting ready to do my 100 ultra race and 100-mile ultra race in my 80th year. So he can cheer me on and help me get there. Osiris says lifting is the most recent addition, and you're smoking it, man. 245 bench press. And honestly, I mentioned this before. I think it was a good idea to go to 245 because it's always good to bank it and hit it and then know you got it. But I think had you skipped 245 and went straight to 250, I think you would have gotten it. Um, but again, from my experience, bench press competitions, it's always better to get that number that you're pretty sure you're going to get and then fill with the next. It's always good to have it in the books. Um, I, from competing in bench press competitions as well as judging them, just local stuff, um, I saw many people who just opened way too high and then they failed and then they're out. Um, and in a local competition, you could give people, if you want to bend the rules a little bit, you could say, go ahead and take another shot. You could suggest lowering the weight and give it another shot. Most people don't lower the weight. They're stubborn. They say, nope, I'm going to do it again. And then, of course, they fail. So it's always better. Bank that rep and then move on. It's better to get something first and then fail later rather than the other way around. Um, let's see. Let's see. Lewis says, yes, turned 40, December 17th. I remember your birthday. For some reason I was thinking 39. 40 was a good year. I didn't start ultra running until I was 45. I didn't hit my first 100-mile race until I was 50. I had failed 3 times previously. And I got my first 100 1 week after my 50th birthday. It is what it is. Says I've yet to reach 45s on each side for the bench. 245s? Are we talking 225? But you know what? Bench press is a skill. It's not simply about strength. You probably have the strength to do it, but you need to develop that groove, develop the leg drive. Unless you've practiced, the art of actually benching for a single rep, it's always going to be sort of hit and miss for something. Our friend Odom's Homestead is here, waving. Thank you for stopping in, Odom. Always appreciate it when you're here. I hope you experienced better weather this week. I know you were hit with some ice and you were hit with some snow and some cold weather. And it's never fun when you're in a place like Tennessee, where you do get bad weather, but usually snow and ice, an anomaly. I'm glad that word came out okay. Let's see. We got some people saying hi. It is what this says. It's progress. Don't want to overdo it when it comes to heavy lifting. Definitely don't. And Odom says, yes, 35 today. Supposed to get to 47 back in the 60s by Friday. Yeah, we're going to be 65 here Friday. It was 14 degrees this morning on my first walk of the day. So I'm really looking forward to 65. Lewis says it's a thunderstorm right now in his area. Well, Odom was snowed in for 8 days. Yeah, Osiris says, totally agree, Lewis, slow and steady. Derek is a case study in a lot of things, workout-wise, but for a progressive path, and not just of like lifting-wise, but in goals as well. Because you see, if you watch his channel, you see the shift. You see how it went from burpee focused workout to the doing more pulls, towards doing more ring work, mixing it all in, and then the lifting getting more and more prominent, and then the goals. I want to do this, and then proceeding. This is how you do it. And that actually literally is how you do it, because you set a goal and you need a workable plan on how to get there. If you do it haphazardly, you get haphazard results. If you split your interests in so many different directions, then that's the results that you get. If you want to lift heavy, you train to lift heavy. If you want to do lots and lots of body weight stuff and some lifting, that's fine, as long as your goal isn't to bench 300 pounds, because there's nothing the matter with that, but it's not the way to get there unless you're a genetic freak. And there are some people that we're friends with, um, Tone Irv, James Drew. I'm even going to put Hybrid Jim in there. That if he wanted to go in that direction, he could. I think he is definitely somewhat of a genetic freak, specifically in mobility. Just amazing what he can do with his body. Yes, um, Osiris, definitely. He's another one who, if he wanted to focus just on lifting, would probably be deadlifting 400 pounds in no time at all, would be squatting much the same. Um, but I know he loves doing all the stuff that he does, and he does it well. There's a lot to be said for that. Um, I think more so. What's the old saying? Uh, Specialization is for insects. That's how they thrive, very specialized, but it's also very limiting to be able to do all that stuff. And in that regard, even though your focus has turned a lot to strength work, Derek, I still think that you have an overall ability. You can still hit high burpee numbers when you want to. You can still hit a ton of pull-ups. You can do a lot of body weight dips. Um, so, yeah, I think that, again, even though you're um, have shifted a bit in that direction, you've still retained um, your ability to do a lot of things very well. Let's see. Destiny's asking Odom about his crops. Nothing going on right now, but cabbage, onions, carrots, and garlic. Although I do see you getting stuff ready. You were spraying your, what was it, the pear tree not long ago, and you're working with the figs, getting them ready as well. I love seeing that as much as the actual growing, just that preparation. How much we take for granted where our food and everything comes from, and how much work actually goes in just preparing to get to the point where things begin to grow. Absolutely amazing. If you guys, anyone who watches this, aren't subscribed to Odom's Homestead, definitely watch it, because um, it's a great channel of watching someone who has a deep love for the soil, deep love of earth, and the deep love of helping things grow. And you just can't help be inspired popping in for a visit. As well, he's got a great voice, and he's a deeply spiritual person. Osiris says, thanks for the very kind words. I really appreciate it. And hard for me to do the burpees. It's a tough, you do a lot. Working with the crew, and then the heavy work as well. So fitting in burpees when you can, I think is enough. I think a little bit of burpees goes a long way when you're doing all that other stuff. Just in the past year, some of the things I used to do all the time, like I used to be able to mix burpees and kettlebells, burpees and dips. It's become a little bit harder just really in just the past few months. But hopefully, I'm going to be making that shift back to be doing some other stuff as well. Although I do feel perfectly fine in a burpee centric universe. Otherwise, I'd have to change my channel name to just a Yogi doing burpees and some weightlifting and some ultra running and some other stuff in his basement. And that would just be too long of a title. I confuse enough people right now with just a Yogi. Let's see. Odom says yes, and starting seeds for spring, which is not, it's the end of January. It's not too far. When I'm just wondering, in Tennessee, you're a couple 100 miles south of where I am in Maryland. So you could say spring would start first 2 weeks of March, maybe. Although there's always a possibility of a frost at that time as well. Odom, it was Odom, sorry, who said hard for me to do the burpees. You know what? Lewis has great advice for people starting off doing burpees. And he almost mentions it at the beginning of every session. He'll start and he'll offer some advice. If you're just starting out, do this, do this. Perfect channel. I think Lewis has one of the best burpee channels because you can go there. If you're a hardcore burpee practitioner, enthusiast, highly skilled, you can go and get inspired by the work that he does and the killer soundtrack that he plays. And at the same time, if you're a complete beginner, it's great to visit because he has these tips, he has advice, he shows you how to work, how to progress from here to here to here to here. And right now is the perfect time because he's beginning his comeback from a couple months layoff. So definitely worth visiting. Definitely should be subscribed and tune in. Odom says he has bad feet and do weightlifting 3 times a week. I just need to get my cardio up. Spring starts in April. How about a stationary bike for cardio to keep the pressure off your feet? Weightlifting and stationary bike is a great standby. I mean, it was the standard bodybuilding fare all through the 70s and the 80s. Destiny says that it is what it is. You're so right. Tried a few times, but only could do 2.5 burpees. Hey, that's a start. 2.5 is a good start. Any burpee is a good burpee. And it doesn't have to be, actually watch when Lewis first started last week, a week ago today. He was stepping back. Doesn't have to be that jump. You can make burpees as gentle or as difficult as need be with the 5 pumps and the rocking chair, all of that. Or you can just step back. You can also do it with the chair and then decrease the size of the chair. So you can start with a regular waist-high chair and then down to a stool and then maybe a couple books. Always a way. Odom says he had one. The grandkids use it more than me. Hey, you need to reclaim it. Or, if walking doesn't bother your feet too much, and I'm actually sure the gardening that you do it's almost, in my opinion, gardening is almost a form of yoga because you're getting a great full body stretch as you do it. And you got to be in shape for the work that you do. Your body is working in multi-dimensional plane when you are gardening. Lewis says, let's see, Destiny, but you tried, and that's a start, like Eric said. And there's so many ways to start. Definitely. Odom says he used to do his push-ups with his feet on a chair because of my feet. Some yoga would help as well. Especially something like a shoulder stand, where you are using gravity to help bring the blood flow from the feet back into the heart. Any kind of inversion is really good for the circulation and definitely helps with that type of pain. Lewis says, don't look at those guys doing crazy numbers because you might lose interest. If you're beginning, those are crazy animals doing crazy numbers. They certainly are. It's sort of a bit of a paradox that you can look at them and be inspired and think, man, I can get there. Or you can look at it and think, wow, I'm never going to get there. Thing is, you don't need to get there. You only need to get where you need to be, whatever type of shape you desire, whatever type of shape that you wish. Not everyone wants to do 206 counts, 100 Navy SEALs, and not everyone needs to. We just need to do what we need to do and keep focused on that. In some ways, we almost need tunnel vision, at least for a while, and then we can start to expand. I am a case example of limited tunnel vision, and I think Mocha would agree with that. When I got into ultra running and I said, Mocha, you should run a 50K. And she said, well, the most I've ever done is a half marathon. Shouldn't I work up and do a marathon, couple marathons, and then a 50K? And I said, no, just do a 50K. She trained for it and she killed it. That's why I've suggested to Lewis and his wife, after they do this next race, 50K. That's the key. Odom says he, yes, loses weight fast in the spring. Yeah, I bet it's a tough, again, I don't think any other activity has you moving in so many directions. And I'm saying it gardening, but that sort of fails to capture what Odom does. Hardcore gardening might be the better expression. Lewis says, yoga, like Eric said, and breathing exercises, definitely helpful. Destiny says, Lewis says, perfectly said, Eric, thank you. And Destiny says, thanks everyone for your tips, advice, and your wisdom. I have learned many new lessons. Eric, thank you for teaching and also for sharing knowledge. You're welcome. Really, though, it's having the people stop in and offering their words that makes all the difference. I think of myself less of a teacher and just someone who loves to share the things that he's enthusiastic about. And when you're enthusiastic about something, people show up who share that enthusiasm and they share what they love. And it just turns out to be a very valuable conversation with so much covered. And Lewis sums it up nicely. Thank you, Sister Destiny, for your inspiration. Very positive attitude and loving heart. And again, that sums up Destiny perfectly. Um, and it's why I revisit her, um, especially her shorts. I mean, I love watching all her stuff, but you can, any short that pops up, even if you've seen it before, you know it's going to have that joy and it's going to have that inspiration, and it's always valuable to tune in and just let it play through for a bit and let that energy seep from the screen directly into your heart. And it does, um, it does make a difference. Highly recommend it. So, all right, guys, with that, I'm going to have to shut things down. I'm going to do my second and last meditation practice for the day. Um, Hagashi is here. Uh, jog. I agree, actually. Um, Jogging is an underrated. People have sort of turned to running, and they neglect the fact that it used to be the great boxers, the great wrestlers, they did road work, conversational paced running, easy. You didn't see Joe Louis, you didn't see Ali, you didn't see all these people doing wind sprints. They got that work hitting the bag, sparring, hitting the speed bag, jumping rope. But running, that was meant for road work. That was meant for that slow endurance, building the engine. Hagashi says, how are you, buddy? I'm doing well. Thank you. Rosario says, have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you. And let's see. I want to make sure that I'm catching everyone. Have you guys tuned into Hagashi's channel? He's got some great stuff going on there, from Thai boxing, which, if you guys have ever been kicked by a Thai boxer, it is maybe the most painful thing that you can experience in martial arts. I think for sure. I have been thrown, I've taken falls, I've been punched, I've been submitted. Nothing hurts worse than it, especially if you have unconditioned shins and you are, you don't want to say stupid, maybe ignorant or inexperienced enough to think that you can block a Thai kick with your shin because you've seen it done before. You can't do it. You will suffer. You will suffer greatly for your ignorance. So, Destiny says, enjoy your day and say best, Eric. Thank you for everyone. Hayashi says, thanks for the shout out, bro. You're welcome. It's definitely, definitely worth subscribing and spending time there. You'll be inspired. Hayashi says, LOL, facts. Definitely a fact. I know that from experience, actually. Having done limited Thai boxing training, it was in the studio that I was training judo. There was some Indonesian work, and there was some Thai boxing, and there was some Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and we would sort of mix and match. Never enough for me to get good, but enough to enjoy it, enough to get a great workout in from a different modality of training, as well as enough to know, don't block a Thai kick. Get out of the way. Better yet, learn how to do it and then do it correctly. Let's see. I'm going to give you guys a minute, exchange some hellos, and then I'm going to hit my meditation period. it's been a good live talk with you guys. Definitely appreciate you all showing up. Um, Agashi says he's doing good, just at work and turning into the community. And the bro Yogi, am I saying that right? Faulty eyes and small computer or a small phone. Agashi says, of course, bro. Glad to see you on live as well. And well, thank you. Appreciate you stopping by very much. So, with that, guys, I will see you later. I'll see you tomorrow morning for burpees. Back to some longer sets tomorrow, at least. There'll be some, at least a 20-minute nasal breathing, one pump. And then soon, I'm actually going to do some testing. I'm going to do some regular breathing and to see how all this nasal breathing has affected my regular work. If it has, we'll find out. So again, thanks guys. I appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow.